This is the one that I got a lot of views because it looked like a peanut, but now it's starting. Oy! Oh no, I accidentally pulled it off the thing. It's the middle of a hot ass summer. I'm growing and growing. I'm growing in zone. I'm almost always trying to fall down, and there's nothing there. I didn't trip over anything. I'm just unsteady on my feet sometimes. Hi friends, I'm Coral. This is Coral Gardens. It's the middle of a hot ass summer in the high desert in California. I'm growing and growing. I'm growing in zone 7B, 8A. We have our first frost coming up in October, and our last one, I think early May most of the time. So we have a pretty long growing season. Still have a lot of time left, but we're in the midst of the worst hot part of it. There's definitely some challenges to growing around here, but we're making it work. Every year we learn something new about the best ways to get things done around here. But anyway, I've been gardening for about 5 years now. The first several years in a really coastal, moist environment where I had a whole different set of issues, and then moved back home where it's very hot, high desert. So different set of stuff. I would love any advice that you guys have to give me, and I would love to give you whatever advice I would learn. So hang out with me. Let's go take a look around the garden. Okay friends, it's early in the morning. The sun's just coming up over the trees, and we're gonna do a garden tour. So we'll start. I'm almost always trying to fall down, and there's nothing there. I didn't trip over anything. I'm just unsteady on my feet sometimes. This is our little front container area, and there's an okra in there. I also planted, now I can't remember, green onions all around that. There's a little moringa tree that I grew from seed, and some zinnias, a few I beheaded, deadheaded really, and the hummingbird visits these almost every day, so I didn't want to do them all, even though some of these other ones are looking a little puny, because I want him to keep coming by every day. I'm excited for them to branch out though. That one's really got to have a lot of heads once it starts coming back on. There's another okra here and a bunch of carrots around it, and somehow a random celery. So I'm excited for that. I think it's a celery. It could be a parsley, but I think the way it came up and looked initially, I'm pretty sure it's a celery. There's another little baby moringa that almost tried to die that I'm nursing back. And then in our waffle garden beds, we have a Three Sisters garden. Oh, that guy's trying to make it come back. He's a little green down there. He's always struggled, I don't know why. We have alternated pumpkins and squash with melons. Melons grow really well here, and we do deal with a lot of squash bugs, so I like to have variety so that we can hopefully get the best harvest we can, and just because I like variety. Our first probably about to be ready spaghetti squashes here. Oh yeah, I could barely make an indent in him, and that's a good way to know that they're ready. Cut him soon. Our corn's all tasseling now. This is glass gem here. Let's see, that seems like we're making a lot of ears potentially. There's a lot of wind here, and there's also a lot of pollinators, but these are primarily wind pollinated, so they also come out and try and take off a really pollen-filled tassel occasionally and rub it across the silk. Let's see what these guys feel like. I don't know. Hopefully they're getting done. Last year they did, so I'm gonna try and just have faith. My watermelon's growing over here. There's a little guy there. I'm kind of on watermelon tendril watch. His is starting to dry up, and that's a really good sign with watermelon. With these watermelon plants being so small, a lot of times the first fruit will be on the smaller side. So if you notice it stops growing, then you can just start looking at the tendril, and when the tendril dries out, it'll be ready to cut. I read somewhere the tendril dries out and then wait 2 weeks. I don't know for sure if that's true. I'm gonna have to try and experiment. Here's another watermelon. That guy's still growing. That last one seems like it's done and gonna stay that size. This is the one that I got a lot of views because it looked like a peanut, but now it's starting. Oy! Oh no, I accidentally pulled it off the thing. Well, that's not gonna be ripe. It is wild how easy that came off. I just barely pulled the thing. I guess we could try it though. Cut it open and just see. And the one thing that I've found with these, yeah, his tendril is just barely starting to dry out. One thing I found with these though is once you take that initial small watermelon off, then they start going into bigger production. So that's not all is lost, but we'll cut them and just, maybe he's a tiny sweet and more refreshing or something. Okay, a mosquito was trying to get me as I had that watermelon, so if I sounded a little distracted, I was trying to back away from him. Now I've sprayed with mosquito repellent. They've started to be a little less prolific, but they're a pain in the butt. They were really bad this year. So these guys have tasseled quite a while ago, and I'm not positive. I'm excited to get small ears of corn because I really want to make a bunch of wreaths from them. And I liked the larger corn cobs last year, but I really liked the smallest ones, and they fit better in the wreath that I'm trying to do. The wreath I did is pretty big, and I don't think I'd want to go any bigger than that. Our amaranth is looking lovely. I'm not sure what this guy is. I think he may have stopped growing, so I'm just kind of watching him for signs of I didn't get fully pollinated. It might be a Casper pumpkin. I've never grown one, I'm not sure. Here's another spaghetti squash here that's getting close. Yeah, difficult to pierce with. I'm gonna have a few little small spaghetti squash right off the bat, which is fun. They grow really well here. There's a little struggling butternut that a friend gave me. And then again, here's the watermelon and squash that we accidentally planted in the same area. They're both starting to flower, so we'll see if we get some stuff from them. I just thought I saw a squash bug, but it was a leaf. We've had 3 so far that we've killed, and then one time I found eggs along one right after I had killed one on one of these trellised squashes. So hopefully, I know there's probably more, but I try and keep an eye out. It's really hard to get down and look under the leaves of this many squash, so I just keep my eye out for squash bugs and look for them where I can. Oh, that wasn't my peanut one. That's good. Here's my little, now I'm gonna be super scared. Here's my little watermelon that looks like a peanut. That's the first short I've gotten that had 10,000 plus views, and it's only in 48 hours. So that's kind of fun. He has very interesting looking watermelon, so I would want to see that short too. I hate when I have to top water. I see how there's water in that flower now. I feel like that's got to disrupt any pollen. Plus, I don't want to get one of these little guys. So I've been night watering, but last night I wasn't feeling great. So I decided to come out this morning and water. This little pumpkin is so cute. There's a little bee in there. Hi, friend. This is a, oh, I shouldn't be going to that, but that's a honey nut squash, I think. And it's been getting a lot of bee action and a lot of babies on. There's another watermelon here. This is a moon and star. See the little yellow spots on the leaves? And then just a few on the watermelon itself. But they're starting to get more and more as it gets bigger. There's a little orange pumpkin back there. I'm watching him for being ready here shortly. Oh, some of these have really pretty tassels. Here's a different kind of watermelon here. He's cute too. He looks like a little, I don't know what, lemon/beetle. Really pretty amaranth. I don't know if we know what this guy is yet. Looks like a male flower, I think, yeah. Hopefully soon. Some of these in these later filled newer beds aren't looking as hot. That guy's looking terrible, but the new growth on that branch of him looks good. So just let him ramble and keep feeding him. We did a trifecta plus to the whole garden. It took a whole 6-pound bag, and I'm sure we probably could use more. And then we have been watering with that Revive RX, and I did worm castings yesterday. A worm casting kind of tea. So these beds have flint corn to hold up the beans that we've planted at the bottom, which I didn't show you any of. There's a bean that's starting to get big. And then the squash ramble around and create shade. The corn hold up the beans, and the beans eventually provide nitrogen, not during the time of growing, but next year they'll provide nitrogen, especially if you snip them at the top of the soil line and leave their roots in the ground. They develop little nodules of nitrogen to feed themselves. I think we'll continue to do Three Sisters Gardens in here because it works really well with these new waffle gardens, which has been the most successful way we've figured so far. So these ones are a little bit struggle too. I'm hoping they tassel soon because I do have my one sweet corn bed that's doing good that hasn't gone to pollen yet, and I don't want them to mix because the flint corn will ruin the sweet corn's flavor. There's another little spaghetti squash there. I'm telling you, they really like to grow here. That one over there is also a spaghetti squash. All the biggest things are spaghetti squash. They really want to grow. Cut down a bunch of trees that we haven't cleared off yet. Cleared that guy mostly out. We need to have some more to do. And some trash pickup to do for trash that blew around in the wind. We should be having our garden club meeting here soon, and that's a big motivation for getting everything done. Sweet potatoes are still doing great. I love how dark the new leaves are. On that one anyway. Trees are really making a comeback. That's a plum tree here. The leaves are supposed to be dark, but they're not supposed to be dead like that. They're supposed to be like this and maroon sometimes. This guy is completely growing back leaves. He totally defoliated when we put him in here. He does not, but neither of these belong in a container, and we're trying to figure out where we might put them permanently. This isn't like a permanent, we don't own this land, so we've been hesitant to put them in the ground, but they're not really safe in these pots. So when we have that garden club meeting, I'm going to talk more to the master gardener that runs it and see if she has any ideas on where would be best to put them. This little guy's getting some tomatoes. This is a mystery tomato we got from that same garden club. It looks like he's going to be some kind of Roman shaped, but it looks a little bit like a cherry with the amount of blossom, so maybe just like a Brad's Atomic Grape kind of shaped tomato. These little guys we keep watering occasionally, and they just keep trying to... Oh, there's bees in there. The ones that you do find sleeping in your plants, it's usually because they're just old and they don't have the energy to make it back to the hive. Let's see, this guy's got a few blooms, and then there's a new one coming down here. I don't know if that's him revitalizing or seed he's dropped. All this along here is a whole bunch of hollyhock babies. They're very prolifically producing. Sunflowers here, amaranth. Big huge sunflower about to go off. There's a really pretty guy there. Pretty amaranth next to him, and then, like I said, hollyhock nursery. We're just kind of letting those fight it out and see what happens. These are impossible because I need to bring my water, but I also can't. So this is our summer squash bed. This gated garden area looks very empty. Usually these are filled with thriving tomatoes. This is where we keep our cherries because it's the easiest place to harvest them. We've had a major gopher problem this year. You might notice the things laying, those are over traps. I initially did not want to kill him. I'm a huge animal lover, and I really struggled. Everybody kept telling me that I needed to. My best friend said she had one demolish her flower bed 3 times in a row. She's like, I'll come kill that one just for vengeance. And I didn't listen, though. I wanted to try every other diversionary tactic. That's why the old cat box is out here. I thought we could kind of scare him off. Did not work. He just took 8 out of 10 of my cherry tomato plants, 3 peppers, and 2 or 3 summer squashes. Some of these didn't come up when we first planted them either, so we had to replant. So I think these 2 in the front are the only 2 that are older, even though they're smaller than some of these other ones. I think that's just the plants themselves, because this is clearly a zucchini and those are very big and prolific. And then this one is a baked potato, which are a really delicious kind of wintry squash more. So we replanted this guy's one he took, and the ones back there. So we'll just keep trying to get him. But anyways, ever since we started digging for the traps, well, the first day we did, he came back and got something else. We tried those little spikes here that make noise. That did nothing, except for we think maybe drew him out to other areas he hadn't gone, because he got a pepper plant right next to the other stake and he never had left this area. But now I think the amount of like digging we've done may have last like several days he has not come back. So I'm hoping either somebody else got him or he's scared of the human activity and knows we're looking for him. But as long as he quit stealing my plants, it finally started to be like it was him or me. So I don't know quite yet what some of these guys are, but there could be female plants. Oh, well, that one might be another one of those baked potato ones. They taste kind of like a baked or mashed potato. They're really creamy, mild, really good. But last year I grew them along a trellis because I think they said they were a vining variety, and they're not. They're very bush habited. Let's see, does this guy have anything on? No signs yet of what you are? It's funny how some of them are so much spikier than others. Oh my gosh, that looks like it also has the same. We're gonna end up with just exclusively mashed potato ones, because I think every time I replanted, I wasn't sure which ones we had, and that was one I wanted to make sure I got. So I think there's a chance that we're gonna end up with a few of them, which is fine. I love them. So then we have the 2 remaining cherry tomato plants. These ones in this bed were much further along. When he took them, they were about this size probably, and that was 3 weeks ago or so. So they would probably be pretty well producing by now. We got the finch traps because I watched a video, Jacques in the Garden, who I really like, comparing different kinds, and he was also saying you have to kill them. And at that time I was still like, I'm gonna try not to. I wish I would have just listened, but it is what it is. We do have one single starting to be ripe cherry. I don't know what this variety is. It looks like it's either a sun gold or some other yellow variety. And then that's a little Chileno pepper that got near dead and then came back. So I think Cameron forgets he's there and doesn't water him. So every other time, I usually water, but when I can't, every time I come out after he's watered, that guy usually looks sad. There's a couple carrots that randomly I planted in the fall that have come up in that bed. And I'm also still watering it just to keep the soil alive. But yeah, this used to be one of the most prolific areas of our garden. And it's just quite a bit behind, so we haven't had anything for farmer's market. Tomatoes and peppers, we were quite a bit behind, but we're just now starting to get quite a few peppers. These are our Zuni Waffle Garden tomatoes, and these are mostly slicers. My son Florida weaved some of these. They were kind of laying along the ground, or else they'd be much taller. But I think his string broke on one of those there, because they're looking a little fallen down. We just got this shade cloth, which I think everything has been much healthier since having them on. This is a tomato that the gopher got the other day. I'm still gonna just see if it'll come back, but I'm leaving this amaranth for right now. I'll take him down pretty soon now that we've made that decision. Cameron accidentally beheaded that little sunflower over there while he was doing the shade cloth and the trellising. And then that little sunflower, the Icarus with all the multi-heads, has about seen its last day. So I think we might try and clear that one out and throw another tomato in there. I really like to go and buy some well-developed tomato plants, but those are a lot expensive. I'd like to have something. I feel guilty. The farmers market people keep asking me if we're gonna be there, and I'm like, we're not even getting produce for ourselves yet. Really, we're getting some, like I said, some peppers. This is a Hungarian wax pepper. I bought a bunch of seeds for those and planted a bunch of seeds before I knew that I would be able to get Chilenos, because people said they were like Chilenos. They're very much not. That's a Chileno. They're much thinner skinned. These are what they make the Sierra Nevada peppers from, if you've ever had them. If you haven't, you should go out of your way to find them. They are my favorite. There's baby jalapenos on this little guy. This is definitely the best I've ever had pepper plants do here. I think I just needed shade. Oh, I'm getting so much water on myself. It's funny. Okay, there's another little jalapeno there, and these are almost big enough to pick jalapeno there. Gotta keep a good eye on these guys. And we pulled a little pepper off of this guy yesterday. I don't know what he is. Was maybe a banana pepper. This eggplant is pretty big and has beautiful flowers. I'm hoping to have some eggplant success this year. And then we planted some bush beans back here. Oh, I can't believe I went under there. You see how wet it is? I had to get these things in the back because this is sagging down so much. I need to figure out like another cinch to put through here and maybe to tack him to one of those T-posts over there. And then I think also we're gonna put some tomato cages on some of these eggplant and peppers, and that might lift him up a little. There's some volunteer amaranth back here. Jump across this. A bunch of volunteer amaranth there. And this is a little tomatillo. These guys have been struggling now, I think more because they're hard to water underneath this. But they were really struggling in the sun. There's a little volunteer tomatillo. This is where we planted them every year, so there's still a few remnants. I like to not clean up to give the critters places to, uh-oh, that guy's starting to tassel, to give the critters places to overwinter. But it gets a little messy looking. So these are our modified Three Sisters. This is sweet corn here in these two beds. And I have cucumbers going along the ground / going up this little trellis here. This is the healthiest I've ever had cucumber, like traditional cucumbers here. I grow Armenian yardlongs because those seem to do really well. Melons do really well here, and they never get bitter. There's some okra planted along the middle of there. These ones aren't doing as well, and they've been in pollen for a while. I know if I get corn, it probably won't be very sweet, but that's okay. But I threw some red rat's tail radish in here to grow as a quick crop. They grow. Oh, this is evil. This is goat head weed. I just pulled one the other day from underneath the corn. It looks so innocent and the flowers on it are so beautiful, but it is evil. I don't know if you guys have a similar weed where you're from. I had a short video and I asked people about that and they all called it something very different, but they all knew exactly what it was. Oh, there's one of those spikes. Can you see it? Right there. So those split into multiple pieces and they look like a triceratops kind of. The one I pulled yesterday had way bigger ones, and when I tried to weed it, it got me. And that's how I realized what it was. I was kind of blindly weeding in those deep beds. Anyway, there's a little volunteer amaranth. This is our out of control arugula / bee feeding area. We just let them go completely ham there. So that's kind of fun. So we'll start on the trellises now. These are finally starting to fill out a lot more. But I do wish they were up and over the trellis by this point. Some of these less heat tolerant and drought tolerant beans are looking a little puny. Like I think that's either, I almost said a red rat's tail radish. I've been doing that lately. I think that's either a rattlesnake pole bean or like a random variety that a friend gave me that I didn't label. But both of those lighter colored ones aren't doing too great. These are Cherokee Trail of Tears beans, and they're doing a little bit better. And then there's some runner beans that are doing a bit better than that because they're a little more heat tolerant. But the best performers by far are the long beans, which are the ones that are the tallest. And we've been harvesting from already. So these are, I didn't have any red ones this year, but they're beautiful going across the trellis. So I'm excited for that. This one is a runner bean here that's really doing well. No signs of beans on him yet. And I love how this guy looks really intertwined, like a fairy tale. These little guys I don't think are growing at all. I could probably just eat them. These little perfectly round guys. I'm gonna pick them so the plant can focus on other things because they've stayed this size. They're very cute though. My landlord brought us this trap to live trap him, but I did also read that one, it's missing a part, but also I read that it's pretty cruel actually to do that. There's another one bee. Because they're very territorial animals, and if you just drop them off somewhere, it's likely another critter's territory, and they'll fight, but also he won't be able to find shelter or food. If another animal were to get him, I would feel slightly okay about that, as it's like a circle of life thing. But they were saying that they could end up starving and suffering, so certainly don't want to do that to a critter, and I think it's also not the best means. There's another little tiny baby there. And then I have down here planted intermittently red Malabar spinach because that grows better in the heat, and if these beans fail, I wanted to have something growing to back them up. These are melons and an Armenian cucumber, which is a melon, and then one Boston pickling cucumber. We've harvested one from him already. The second one's coming on. We've harvested a whole bunch of Armenian yard-long. There's another one there. And then I gave one to a friend yesterday, and then we pulled one that didn't look like it had been germinated. Here's some kind of melon on this guy. I'm guessing that's a Sharon Teese. There's a volunteer arugula here. They're not climbing as much as I'd like them to yet, but they're getting there. This is a cute little melon that we've been following. He initially got stuck between the trellis and the T-post. This is looking a little weak, his connection there. So I think, I heard you, hummingbird, and I saw you out of the corner of my eye. I think I'm gonna put something, a little pantyhose or something on him to hold him up. I think he's a silver Yamato based on that coloring. There, he's kind of just settled in. That was a little scary. But yeah, I definitely want to help the plant hold him up. There's that Armenian yard-long from those will get really big and they never get bitter. They stay really good no matter what. So I'm gonna let him get a little bigger. On this side, here's a little watermelon, funny looking guy. He looks like he might need support soon too. We tried to plant small ones, so I think what are they called? Sugar baby watermelons and Kajari melons and cantaloupe primarily, and there's a little cantaloupe. So these are slip melons, so you'll know that they're ripe when they just come off the vine easily, like that watermelon did when I barely touched it. There's another little watermelon. I'm guessing that's a sugar baby, so I don't know what exactly that one is. There's baby Kajari melons all over. Kajari melons are very prolific here, probably everywhere. I think a lot of the things that do well here are things that are from really arid, dry places. There used to be 2 huge arugula plants right here, if you remember, and they were keeping these guys down, but I didn't realize how much. Look how much smaller that is than that. And I think that these guys had a slightly later start, but it's not enough to justify how little they were. When I took the plants out, I was like, oh my gosh, they were huge bushes though. This one, so those are not the most exciting yet. I don't think they have any female flowers on. They're just trying to establish, which is good. Spaghetti squash is the most prolific. No surprise. There's multiple spaghettis on there. This is the plant that I did find one squash bug and squash bug eggs along the vine. Squash bugs have no real great predators to get them, so it's really on you to hand pick them and be really conscientious. That's a mosquito. I thought it was a pollinator and it was a mosquito. Like, I almost showed him to you. I thought it was a hoverfly or something. So like I was saying, this is a butterscotch. Oh, he landed on that thing. There's multiple little guys on here. There was a bigger one, I'm almost positive. Maybe further down? Maybe not. Okay. Maybe I'm crazy. Really pretty flowers there. And then there's that little pumpkin we looked at earlier. I think that's a Jack B. Little. And then there's another little guy down here too that hopefully is doing okay. The spaghetti squash tends to take over. I plant 4 along each trellis just because the heat will inevitably take out at least one, and I really want the trellis to be full. Oh, these are the last guys planted. There's a little Jack B. Little, a little unknown guy, and what I believe is a gourd or a loofah, but I think it's a decorative gourd. That's my favorite plant in the garden right now. I love those leaves. There's a bunch of ants on him. That means that they are farming aphids. And then we'll end on these guys. So this is a little Chinese melon we got as a plug plant from our garden group. And this is a little volunteer butternut that is doing really well. And that's the reason we didn't dig this one out. I planted something else in between those, but it didn't come up, and I'm just gonna let it go how it is because this guy's clearly taken up a lot of the trellis already. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. It was fun, as always, showing you around.
Like and subscribe.